There are moments in life when God begins preparing you for something long before He allows you to see it. You may not understand what is happening around you right now. You may look at your life and wonder why certain doors have remained closed, why certain relationships disappeared, why the people you thought would stay suddenly walked away, or why your journey has felt so much lonelier than you ever imagined it would be. But what if the silence has not been punishment? What if the distance has not been rejection? What if the season you called loneliness was actually preparation? Because sometimes, before God sends someone into your life who will deeply affect your future, He first begins changing the person who will receive them. And that person may be you. There is something being prepared behind the scenes that you cannot yet fully perceive. There are conversations you have not had, places you have not visited, doors you have not yet opened, and encounters that have not yet happened. You cannot see the entire picture because God is still working outside the limits of your present understanding. You have been asking Him for change. You have been asking Him for companionship, restoration, direction, love, peace, and a reason to believe again. And perhaps God has heard every single prayer. But instead of immediately giving you the answer, He began preparing you to recognize it. Because not every blessing arrives looking like a blessing. Sometimes the person God sends into your life will arrive at a time when you are no longer desperate for someone to rescue you. They may arrive when you have finally learned how to stand with God, even when nobody else stands beside you. They may arrive when your heart has stopped chasing what left you and has started trusting what God is bringing. That is why this season has felt different. Something inside you has been changing. Maybe you cannot explain it. Maybe you have noticed that the things that once excited you no longer satisfy you. Conversations that once seemed important now feel empty. Certain connections feel strangely distant. Places that once felt comfortable no longer feel like home. And perhaps there has been a quiet longing in your spirit that you cannot name. You are not necessarily longing for a specific person. You are longing for something genuine, something peaceful, something sent by God rather than manufactured by your own impatience. And that distinction matters, because when God prepares a divine appointment, He often begins by separating you from counterfeit connections. There are people who may have entered your life only to teach you what you should never accept again. There are relationships that exposed wounds you did not know you carried. There are disappointments that forced you to discover how deeply you depended on human approval. There are moments when someone walked away and you thought your world was ending, only to discover months later that their departure created room for a version of yourself that could never have emerged while you were still holding on to them. You called it loss. God may have called it pruning. And pruning is painful because God is not only removing people. Sometimes He is removing expectations. He is removing unhealthy attachments. He is removing the belief that your future depends on one particular person saying yes to you. He is removing the fear that if someone leaves, you will never find anyone again. He is teaching you that your life does not collapse when people change. Your identity does not disappear when someone rejects you. Your worth does not decrease because someone failed to recognize it. And your future does not become empty because one relationship ended. God is teaching you to stand, because the person He sends cannot become your God. They may become an important part of your story, but they cannot become the foundation of your identity. Only God can carry that weight. And perhaps this is why the preparation has been so deep. You have been learning how to love without losing yourself, how to care without controlling, how to wait without becoming bitter, how to forgive without returning to what wounded you, how to recognize the difference between chemistry and character, how to recognize the difference between attention and genuine intention, how to recognize the difference between someone who simply wants access to you and someone who genuinely values what God is building within you. You are being prepared to recognize something healthy because God has been teaching you to stop confusing chaos with passion. Think about how many times you may have mistaken anxiety for love. How many times you waited for a message and felt your entire emotional state rise, and fall according to someone else's attention. How many times you tried to convince someone to see your value. How many times you gave more than you received because you were afraid that if you stopped giving, they would leave. God saw it all, and He did not condemn you for it. He began teaching you, slowly, patiently, sometimes through tears, sometimes through silence, sometimes through doors that refused to open, sometimes through prayers that seemed unanswered for far too long. But there was purpose in the delay. You were becoming someone who could receive without begging, someone who could love without chasing, someone who could discern without doubting every good thing. And perhaps that is the hidden struggle of your current season. You have been fighting battles nobody else knows about. You smile when people ask how you are doing, but there have been nights when your thoughts became louder than your faith. There have been moments when you wondered whether God had forgotten you. You watched other people receive the relationships, opportunities, families, and breakthroughs you had prayed for, and somewhere deep inside you asked, "Lord, when will it be my turn?" You may have never said it aloud, but God heard it. He heard the prayer beneath the prayer. He heard the longing beneath the silence, and He knows exactly how long you have been carrying it. But hear this carefully. Your delay is not proof of divine denial. Sometimes God delays something because He is protecting you from receiving it too early. A blessing received before the right season can become a burden. A relationship entered before healing can become another wound. An opportunity received before preparation can overwhelm the very person who prayed for it. So God sometimes says, "Not yet." Not because He does not love you, because He does. Not because He has forgotten you, because He has not, but because He sees what you cannot. He sees the person you are becoming. He sees the person who may soon enter your story. He sees the circumstances surrounding that encounter, and He sees how everything must align before the moment can arrive. You may be looking at the clock. God is looking at the whole story. You are counting the days. God is arranging the details. You are asking, "Where are they?" God may be asking, "Are you ready to receive them?" There is a difference, and perhaps your preparation has already begun. Maybe you have started becoming more peaceful. Maybe you have become less interested in proving yourself. Maybe you have started protecting your time. Maybe you no longer feel the need to explain yourself to everyone. Maybe you have begun choosing solitude over unhealthy company. Maybe you have discovered that being alone with God is better than being surrounded by people who constantly disturb your peace. That is not emptiness. That is maturity. And maturity often looks like loneliness before it looks like fruitfulness. There is a quiet room God brings many chosen people into before He introduces them to the next chapter. It is the room where old identities die. The room where false expectations fall away. The room where you stop asking, "Who will choose me?" and begin asking, "Lord, what are you teaching me?" That question changes everything. Because when your heart shifts from desperation to discernment, you become capable of recognizing what God is doing. You stop forcing doors. You stop chasing people. You stop trying to manufacture destiny. And you begin walking, one step, one prayer, one day at a time. You may not know who is coming. You may not know when the encounter will happen. You may not even know what form the blessing will take. But you can know this. God does not waste preparation. Every tear has taught you something. Every closed door has developed something. Every season of waiting has strengthened something. Every disappointment has revealed something. And every moment when you thought you were being forgotten may have been a moment when God was quietly positioning you. There is a person you have not met yet who may one day look at the person you have become and understand why the journey had to be so difficult. Not because they will complete you. You were never incomplete, but because they may recognize something God was building in you before you even knew it was there. They may not arrive with fireworks. They may not announce themselves as the answer to your prayers. They may simply enter your life through an ordinary moment, a conversation, a place, a connection, a message, a shared circumstance, a meeting that initially seems insignificant, and yet somehow something about it will feel different. not necessarily because of instant intensity, but because of peace. There may be no manipulation, no confusion, no endless guessing, no need to chase, no need to perform, no need to become someone you are not. There will simply be a sense that something is unfolding naturally. And when that moment comes, you will understand why God spent so much time preparing your heart. But before that moment arrives, there is still work happening inside you. And perhaps that is what God wants you to understand today. Do not despise this season. Do not call yourself forgotten because you are waiting. Do not assume that nothing is happening simply because nothing is visible. Seeds grow underground before they ever break through the soil, and your preparation may be happening underground right now. Quietly, deeply, permanently. God may be preparing not only the person who is coming, but also the circumstances, the timing, the environment, and the version of you who will meet them. So breathe. Stop measuring your life against someone else's timeline. Stop interpreting silence as abandonment. Stop assuming that because you cannot see movement, heaven is standing still. Something may already be moving. Something may already be aligning. And while you are wondering when your life will change, God may already be changing you so that when the right person enters your life, you will have the wisdom to recognize the gift. The waiting has not been wasted. The hidden struggle has not been meaningless. And the chapter you thought was only about surviving may actually have been preparing you for the chapter where you finally understand why you had to survive it. There comes a point in every wilderness season when the silence becomes so deep that you begin questioning whether you are still moving forward. You pray, but the answer seems delayed. You believe, but circumstances seem unchanged. You keep walking, yet the road ahead remains covered in uncertainty. And this is where many people make the mistake of believing that nothing is happening. But the wilderness is rarely a place of nothing. It is a place of formation. It is where God develops the parts of you that cannot be developed in comfort. Before David stood before Goliath, there was a field where nobody was watching. Before Joseph entered the palace, there was a pit, a prison, and years of uncertainty. Before Moses returned to Egypt, there were decades in the wilderness. And before Jesus began his public ministry, there was a wilderness where he faced temptation and stood firmly in his identity. The wilderness is not evidence that God has abandoned you. Sometimes it is evidence that he is preparing you for something that requires greater strength than you currently realize. And perhaps that is why your journey has felt so strange. You have been asking God for a person, but he has been building your character. You have been asking for companionship, but he has been teaching you contentment. You have been asking for a breakthrough, but he has been developing endurance. You have been asking for a new chapter, but he has been closing the previous one completely. Because God does not simply bring you into a new season. He prepares you to remain there. That is why the process can feel longer than expected. God is not interested in giving you something beautiful that you are emotionally unprepared to carry. He wants the blessing to become part of your life without destroying the peace he has been building inside you. Think about what happens when a person receives something they have desperately wanted before they have learned how to handle it. They may sabotage it. They may become fearful. They may cling too tightly. They may become suspicious. They may constantly expect it to disappear. And suddenly, the very thing they prayed for becomes a source of anxiety. God knows this. So sometimes he works on your heart before he changes your circumstances. He teaches you that love does not have to be chased. He teaches you that peace does not require control. He teaches you that what is truly meant for you will not require you to destroy yourself just to keep it. This is one of the deepest lessons of the wilderness. You learn to trust God without having evidence in your hands. You learn to worship without seeing the outcome. You learn to keep walking when there is no applause. And eventually, you discover something remarkable. You are no longer the same person who entered the wilderness. The wilderness changed you. It stripped away the noise. It exposed your fears. It revealed your attachments. It showed you where you were depending on people instead of God. It forced you to confront the parts of yourself you could avoid when life was busy. And although you may have hated the process, you may one day thank God for it, because there are things you can only hear when life becomes quiet. There are truths you can only recognize when distractions disappear. There are prayers you can only pray when everything you used to depend on has stopped working. Perhaps that is why you have felt increasingly detached from certain things. Maybe God has been changing your appetite. The things that once consumed your attention no longer have the same power. You are beginning to crave depth instead of excitement, truth instead of appearances, peace instead of drama, purpose instead of temporary validation. And that change is significant, because the person God sends into your life cannot be recognized merely by attraction. They must be recognized by fruit, by character, by consistency, by the peace their presence produces. The Bible teaches us to know people by their fruit. That means your future should not be built around promises alone. It should be built around evidence. A person can say beautiful things. A person can make you feel special. A person can speak about destiny. But character is revealed over time. Consistency speaks louder than intensity. Integrity speaks louder than charm. And peace often speaks louder than excitement. This is why God may be preparing you to wait differently. Not passively, not hopelessly, but wisely. You do not need to chase what God has ordained. You do not need to manipulate circumstances. You do not need to become obsessed with signs. You do not need to force every new person into the role of the one. You simply need to remain close to God and allow Him to reveal what is genuine. Because sometimes the greatest danger is not missing the right person. It is accepting the wrong person because you are tired of waiting. That is why discernment matters. The enemy would love for you to become so exhausted by waiting that you settle for anything that resembles the blessing. But God is teaching you something deeper. You are not waiting because you have no options. You are waiting because your life is too valuable to build carelessly. There is a difference between loneliness and being alone. Loneliness says, nobody wants me. Being alone with God can say, I am being prepared. Loneliness says, I need someone immediately. Faith says, God knows the timing. Loneliness makes you reach for anything. Wisdom makes you pause. And perhaps you have recently discovered that pause. You may have noticed that you no longer respond as quickly to every emotional impulse. You think before opening your heart. You watch actions. You listen more carefully. You pray before making decisions. That is growth. And growth can feel uncomfortable because the old version of you would have responded differently. The old you may have chased. The new you waits. The old you may have accepted crumbs. The new you recognizes that God has called you to live from abundance rather than desperation. The old you may have interpreted attention as love. The new you understands that love requires responsibility. This is why you were chosen for this next chapter. Not because you are perfect, not because you have never failed, not because you have never made terrible decisions. You were chosen because God can use a surrendered heart. Your scars do not disqualify you. Your history does not cancel your future. The mistakes you regret do not have the final word. God can take someone who has been broken and teach them how to build something beautiful. He can take someone who has been betrayed and teach them healthy trust. He can take someone who has been abandoned and teach them secure love. He can take someone who has spent years feeling unseen and place them in an environment where their gifts finally have room to breathe. But first, He must teach them not to define themselves by what happened to them. You are not your rejection. You are not your loneliness. You are not the relationship that ended. You are not the person who failed to recognize your value. You are not the season that almost broke you. You are who God says you are. And perhaps the person coming into your life will not be sent merely to make you happy. They may be sent to help activate something that God has already planted within you. Sometimes one relationship becomes a doorway to another level of purpose. A conversation introduces an opportunity. An opportunity introduces a community. A community introduces a calling. A person may encourage you to take seriously the dream you almost abandoned. They may recognize a gift you stopped believing in. They may challenge you to become more courageous. They may simply remind you that life can be peaceful again. But remember this, the person is not the source. God is the source. The person may be a vessel. They may be part of the answer, but they are not your savior. Only God can occupy that place. And understanding this protects you from placing impossible expectations on another human being. No person can heal every wound. No relationship can answer every question. No human being can carry the weight of your entire destiny. That is why God has been teaching you to build your foundation in Him. So when someone arrives, you can love them freely rather than desperately. You can appreciate them without worshiping them. You can receive their love without making them responsible for your identity. And you can walk away from anything that contradicts God's character without believing your entire future has disappeared. This is what maturity looks like, and perhaps you are closer to it than you realize. There are signs of preparation that do not look dramatic. You become less reactive. You become more patient. You become more protective of your peace. You become more comfortable saying no. You stop needing everyone to understand you. You stop explaining your worth. You become willing to wait. And perhaps most importantly, you begin trusting God's no as much as His yes. That is when the wilderness begins accomplishing its purpose. Because eventually you stop asking God to simply change your circumstances. You begin asking Him to change you. Lord, make me ready. Lord, give me wisdom. Lord, remove whatever would cause me to sabotage what you send. Lord, help me recognize what is from you and reject what is not. Those prayers are powerful, because God may not simply be preparing someone to enter your life. He may be preparing you to recognize them when they do. And there is a reason that matters, because sometimes the answer arrives quietly, not with thunder, not with supernatural fireworks, not with a voice from heaven announcing, "This is the person." Sometimes it arrives through ordinary circumstances, and only a prepared heart recognizes extraordinary significance in an ordinary moment. You may meet them when you are not searching. You may encounter them while focused on something completely different. You may cross paths through work, friendship, ministry, travel, family, community, or an unexpected conversation. And perhaps afterward, you will realize that the timing was too precise to ignore. Not because every coincidence is divine, but because God knows how to arrange circumstances in ways that make sense only when you look backward. So do not rush. Do not become obsessed with predicting the moment. Do not spend your days wondering where this person is. Live, pray, grow, build, serve, heal. Become everything God is calling you to become. Because while you are waiting for the person who may change your life, God is making sure you are becoming someone who can participate in the change. The wilderness has not been your final destination. It has been your training ground. And the season that felt like delay may eventually be revealed as protection. You thought God was withholding. He was preparing. You thought nothing was happening. He was working beneath the surface. You thought you were being forgotten. He was teaching you how to be rooted. And now, slowly, something is beginning to shift. The wilderness is not going to last forever. The silence is not the final chapter. The hidden season is moving toward revelation. And when the next chapter begins, you will understand why God needed to prepare you first. Something is beginning to shift. You may not be able to point to one specific moment and say, "This is when everything changed." But deep within you, there is a quiet awareness that the season you have been living through is not going to remain the same forever. The heaviness is beginning to loosen. The confusion is beginning to clear. The desire to chase what once consumed you is beginning to disappear. And perhaps, for the first time in a long time, you are starting to feel hope without needing to know exactly what will happen next. That is important, because sometimes the first evidence of breakthrough is not an external event. It is an internal shift. Before God changes your circumstances, He often changes your expectation. You begin expecting goodness again. You begin believing that your story can still become beautiful. You begin opening your heart to possibility without demanding that God explain every detail. And that is where the prophetic shift begins. The chapter that once required endurance may soon require discernment. The season that taught you how to survive may soon teach you how to receive. You have spent so long protecting your heart that God may now be teaching you how to open it without abandoning wisdom. You have spent so long expecting disappointment that He may now be teaching you how to recognize peace. And this is where the person being sent into your life becomes significant. Because there are people who enter your life during storms, and there are people who arrive after the storm has taught you how to stand. The difference is profound. One relationship may become a lesson. Another may become a partnership. One person may reveal your wounds. Another may help you discover what healed you. One may teach you what love is not. Another may show you what healthy love can look like. But you must not confuse the lesson with the promise. Sometimes we become emotionally attached to people simply because they were present during an important season. We assume that because someone was significant, they must also be permanent. But significance and permanence are not always the same. God may use someone to redirect you without intending them to remain forever. And understanding this frees you. You can honor what a person taught you without needing them to return. You can appreciate the chapter without reopening it. You can bless what was and still move toward what is coming. That is restoration. Not pretending the past never happened, but refusing to allow the past to control the future. And perhaps that is exactly what God has been doing within you. He has been separating memory from destiny. He has been teaching you that what happened yesterday does not have authority over tomorrow. You may still remember the betrayal. You may still remember the rejection. You may still remember the night you cried and wondered why someone you trusted could hurt you so deeply. But the memory no longer has to become your identity. You can remember without returning. You can forgive without reopening the door. You can acknowledge what happened without allowing it to determine what you expect from everyone you meet. That is a powerful transformation. Because if God is bringing someone new into your life, you cannot make them pay for wounds they did not create. You cannot expect them to prove they are different every 5 minutes. You cannot punish them for the sins of people who came before them. You have to allow the new relationship to become what it actually is. And that requires courage. It requires vulnerability. It requires discernment. But most of all, it requires healing. Maybe this is why certain memories have been resurfacing recently. Not because you are going backward. Because God is allowing you to see old wounds from a new position. There are things that once destroyed you that you can now look at and say, God brought me through that. There are names that once caused pain that no longer have power over your emotions. There are places you can now remember without feeling like your future disappeared there. That is evidence. You are healing. And healing changes what you attract because healing changes what you tolerate. You stop negotiating with disrespect. You stop romanticizing inconsistency. You stop calling confusion mystery. You stop calling emotional distance independence. You stop calling manipulation passion. You stop believing that suffering is proof of love. And when your standards become aligned with wisdom rather than fear, you become much harder to deceive. This is part of being prepared. Because the person God sends should not require you to abandon everything He taught you in the wilderness. They should not pull you away from your values. They should not make you ashamed of your faith. They should not constantly disturb your peace. They should not require you to become smaller so they can feel bigger. The right person will not be perfect. No human being is, but there will be evidence of humility. There will be room for communication. There will be accountability. There will be respect. There will be consistency. There will be a willingness to grow. And perhaps most importantly, there will be room for God. That matters more than chemistry, because chemistry can be immediate. Character takes time. Attraction can happen in seconds. Trust is built through repeated choices. Words can create excitement. Actions create security. And God is preparing you to look beyond the surface. Perhaps you have been praying for someone who will change your life, but maybe God is also preparing someone who will help you protect the life He has already given you. Someone who does not simply bring excitement, but brings stability. Someone who does not only tell you what you want to hear, but has the courage to tell you the truth with love. Someone who can celebrate your victories without competing with you. Someone who can sit with you in silence without making silence uncomfortable. Someone who understands that a relationship is not two broken people desperately completing each other. It is two people allowing God to shape them while they walk together. And that kind of connection is rare, which is why preparation matters. Do not rush into something simply because you are tired of waiting. The enemy can make counterfeit opportunities look urgent. God does not need panic to accomplish His purpose. What comes from God can survive patience. It can survive prayer. It can survive time. It does not need manipulation to remain alive. This is why you should not be afraid if the next chapter unfolds slowly. Slow does not mean wrong. Quiet does not mean absent. Unseen does not mean inactive. There are things being arranged beyond your current awareness. A person's decisions, a change in circumstances, a new environment, a conversation, a relocation, a career shift, a friendship, an invitation, an unexpected opportunity. You may not know which detail will become the bridge, but God does. And sometimes one small decision changes the trajectory of an entire life. That is why you should pay attention to divine nudges without becoming obsessed with signs. If you feel led to go somewhere, pray about it. If an opportunity appears, seek wisdom. If a new person enters your world, observe their character. If a door opens, do not automatically assume it is destiny. And if a door closes, do not automatically assume it is failure. Ask God what He is doing. There is a difference between faith and fantasy. Faith trusts God while remaining grounded. Fantasy tries to force every detail into a predetermined story. You do not need to know the person's name. You do not need to know their face. You do not need to predict the date. You do not need to interpret every dream as a prophecy. You need to know God, because if you know His character, you can trust His timing. And perhaps that is the greatest breakthrough happening in you right now. You are becoming less obsessed with the outcome and more anchored in the one who holds the outcome. That is freedom. You can say, Lord, if you send someone, I will receive them with gratitude. If you ask me to wait, I will wait. If you tell me to walk away, I will walk away. If you close a door, I will trust you. If you open one, I will walk through it with wisdom. That kind of surrender creates peace. And peace is powerful, because when your heart is no longer desperate, you can recognize what is genuine. You do not have to accept the first person who shows interest. You do not have to call every connection a divine appointment. You do not have to fear that saying no means you will be alone forever. You can wait. You can watch. You can pray. You can listen. And when the right person appears, you will not need to manufacture the connection. There may still be nervousness. There may still be uncertainty. There may still be questions, but underneath it all there can be peace. And that peace may become one of the greatest confirmations. Not because every peaceful feeling is automatically divine, but because God's direction will never require you to betray the truth He has already taught you. The breakthrough may also come in another form. Perhaps the person God sends will not immediately be a romantic partner. Maybe they will become a mentor, a friend, a business partner, a ministry connection, a creative collaborator, someone who introduces you to an opportunity, someone who speaks one sentence that changes how you see yourself, someone who recognizes what God has placed inside you. Do not limit God's methods. You asked Him to change your life. You did not necessarily ask Him to do it in one specific way. God is not confined to the picture you created. Sometimes we pray with such detailed expectations that we almost miss the answer because it does not resemble our imagination. You may have expected one kind of person. God may send another. You may expect a relationship. He may first send a friendship. You may expect a miracle overnight. He may send a process that changes you permanently. You may expect an open door. He may first remove the wall that was keeping you from reaching it. The form may surprise you. The purpose will not. God is leading you toward greater alignment. And when alignment happens, what once felt impossible can begin unfolding naturally. You will look back and realize that certain delays were connected. Certain endings were connected. Certain meetings were connected. Certain disappointments were connected. You thought your story was falling apart. God was moving pieces into place. And this is why you must not give up during the final stages of preparation. Sometimes the hardest part of waiting is when you begin sensing that something is close but you cannot see it yet. You become impatient. You start searching for evidence. You begin asking, is this it? But stay steady. Do not run ahead of God simply because you sense movement. Let Him complete what He started. Your responsibility is not to predict the breakthrough. Your responsibility is to be ready for it. Keep your heart clean. Keep your motives honest. Keep your relationship with God strong. Continue becoming emotionally healthy. Continue pursuing your purpose. Continue living. Because the greatest preparation for a new relationship is not sitting around waiting for someone to arrive. It is building a life worth sharing. A life filled with purpose. A life where God is already present. A life where peace is already growing. Then, when someone enters it, they become part of the overflow rather than the source of it. And perhaps this is why the shift has already begun. The old chapter is losing its grip. The wilderness is behind you. Your expectations are changing. Your discernment is becoming sharper. Your heart is becoming softer without becoming foolish. Your faith is becoming quieter but stronger. And somewhere beyond what you can see, circumstances may already be aligning. You do not need to force them. You do not need to chase them. You simply need to remain faithful. Because what God has prepared for you does not need your panic. It needs your readiness. And when the right encounter comes, you may finally understand why God made you wait. You will understand why some people had to leave, why certain doors had to close, why certain prayers seemed unanswered, why your heart had to be strengthened before it could safely receive something beautiful. The breakthrough is not only coming toward your circumstances, it is coming through the person you have become, and the person you are becoming is already evidence that God has not forgotten you. There is a moment in every long season of waiting when you finally realize that the greatest miracle was not the thing you were waiting for. It was who you became while you were waiting. You entered this season carrying questions. You carried disappointments. You carried memories you could not explain and wounds you did not know how to name. You wondered why God allowed certain people to leave. You wondered why certain doors closed. You wondered why the relationship you prayed for did not happen, why the opportunity disappeared, why the answer seemed to take so long. But now you can begin to see the hidden wisdom in the journey. God was not simply preparing an answer. He was preparing you. And perhaps this is the confirmation you have been waiting for. Your story is not finished. The silence was not abandonment. The wilderness was not rejection. The delay was not proof that God had forgotten your name. You were being formed in a place where nobody could applaud you because God wanted you to learn how to recognize His voice without needing the approval of people. And now, as this chapter begins to turn, you may notice something different within yourself. You are calmer. You are more discerning. You are less impressed by appearances. You no longer need someone to constantly reassure you that you are valuable. You are beginning to know your worth because God has been teaching you where your worth actually comes from. And that changes everything. Because when you know who you are in God, you no longer approach relationships begging someone else to give you an identity. You enter them with something to offer: peace, wisdom, compassion, loyalty, faith, and a heart that has learned through experience what it means to love without losing itself. This is the restoration God has been working toward, not simply restoring what you lost, restoring the person you almost lost while trying to keep what was never meant to remain. There were moments when you compromised your peace to keep people close, moments when you ignored your intuition because you wanted something to work. Moments when you stayed too long because you were afraid that leaving meant failure. But God has been teaching you that obedience is not failure. Sometimes walking away is obedience. Sometimes releasing someone is obedience. Sometimes saying no is obedience. Sometimes allowing a chapter to end is obedience. And when you obey God, you may lose something temporary, but you never lose what He has truly assigned to your life. That is why you can release the past without fear. You do not have to hold onto what God has already told you to surrender. You do not have to keep checking whether someone from the past has changed. You do not have to wonder whether they will eventually realize what they lost. Your future does not depend on their realization. Your future belongs to God. And perhaps the person being prepared to enter your life will arrive after you have finally stopped looking backward. That timing matters, because when your eyes are constantly fixed on what ended, you cannot clearly see what is beginning. So lift your eyes, not because you know exactly what is coming, but because you trust the one who does. There may be an encounter ahead that you cannot predict. There may be a conversation that begins casually and becomes significant. There may be someone whose presence feels unexpectedly peaceful. There may be an opportunity connected to a person you have never met. There may be a friendship that slowly develops into something deeper. There may be a relationship that begins without fireworks but grows through consistency. Do not underestimate quiet beginnings. Some of the most important things God does begin without announcing themselves. A seed does not announce the tree it will become. A sunrise begins with a horizon that is still dark. A new chapter often begins while the previous page is still being turned. And perhaps you are standing at that exact threshold, not fully in the old season, not yet fully in the new, but close, very close. This is where you must guard your heart from fear. When something new begins, the wounds of the old season may try to speak. You may think, what if this ends like the last one? What if I trust again and get hurt again? What if I open my heart and lose everything? Those questions are understandable, but do not let the pain of yesterday become the prophet of tomorrow. The past can inform your wisdom without controlling your expectation. You have learned. You are not the same person anymore. You know what warning signs look like. You know what inconsistency feels like. You know what it means to ignore your own boundaries. You know what happens when you abandon your values to keep someone. You have learned. And because you have learned, you can approach the future differently. You can move slowly. You can ask questions. You can observe. You can pray. You can let trust develop naturally. You do not have to give someone complete access to your heart on the first day. Healthy relationships can grow. They do not need to be rushed. And if someone truly belongs in your life, patience will not destroy the connection. Time will reveal it. Character will confirm it. Consistency will strengthen it. And peace will protect it. That is why you do not need to fear the future. You do not need to know every detail. God does. And if He is truly leading you, He will provide confirmation along the way. Sometimes confirmation comes through Scripture. Sometimes through wise counsel. Sometimes through circumstances. Sometimes through a deep sense of peace after prayer. And sometimes through the simple consistency of what unfolds over time. You do not have to manufacture confirmation. Let God reveal it. And if something repeatedly contradicts what you know to be right, have the courage to step back. The person sent by God will not require you to abandon God to keep them. Remember that. The blessing will never require you to sacrifice the one who gave it. A healthy relationship should not pull you away from your values. It should not make you ashamed of your faith. It should not make you smaller. It should not demand secrecy, manipulation, or fear. Instead, it should create room for growth, room for honesty, room for forgiveness, room for prayer, room for purpose. And perhaps the greatest sign will be that you remain yourself. You will not feel like you have to perform. You will not feel like you must constantly prove that you are worthy. You will not feel like you are walking on eggshells. You will be able to breathe. And maybe that sounds simple, but after everything you have survived, peace will feel profound. The person God sends may not solve every problem in your life. They may not arrive with everything figured out. They will have flaws. They will have fears. They will have their own history. But there can be a mutual willingness to grow. And that is far more valuable than perfection. Because love is not two perfect people finding each other. It is two imperfect people choosing honesty, grace, responsibility, and growth while keeping God at the center. And if this is the kind of relationship God is preparing, then you should not settle simply because you are tired of being alone. Your waiting has value. Your peace has value. Your future has value. Do not trade all three for temporary attention. You have already survived too much to return to what God delivered you from. You have already cried too many tears to willingly choose confusion again. You have already learned too much to pretend you do not know what healthy love requires. So stand firm, not with arrogance, with wisdom. And while you wait, continue living. Continue praying. Continue building your purpose. Continue taking care of the responsibilities God has already placed in front of you. Continue becoming the person you asked God to help you become. Because there is something beautiful about discovering that your life was never supposed to pause while you waited for someone else. Your life is happening now. The person who comes into it will not start your story. They will enter a story God has already been writing. That changes the entire perspective. You are not waiting for someone to save you. You are waiting for someone who can walk beside what God is already doing in you. And that is why the title of this message is not simply about a person coming. It is about preparation. The person may be coming, but so is a new version of you. A version of you that understands boundaries. A version of you that knows how to pray before reacting. A version of you that does not chase people who repeatedly choose distance. A version of you that can receive love without suspicion. A version of you that can give love without losing yourself. A version of you that understands that being chosen by God matters more than being chosen by people. And perhaps the most beautiful confirmation is this: you are already becoming that person. The evidence is in your changed desires. It is in your increased patience. It is in the things you no longer tolerate. It is in the prayers you now pray. It is in the peace you have found in places where you once experienced only anxiety. It is in the fact that you are still here, still believing, still seeking God, still hoping, still moving. You survived the season that was supposed to break you. And now God can use what you learned in that season to protect what He brings into the next. So when the encounter happens, do not be afraid. Do not rush to label it. Do not force a prophecy onto it. Simply pay attention. Pray, watch, listen. Let time speak. And if God is truly in it, you will not have to carry the entire relationship by yourself. There will be mutual effort, mutual respect, mutual honesty, mutual growth. And perhaps one day you will sit quietly and realize something extraordinary. You will remember the person you used to be. You will remember the nights you cried. You will remember the questions. You will remember how many times you thought nothing would ever change. And you will smile. Not because the pain was good, but because God redeemed it. He took the season that looked empty and filled it with wisdom. He took the rejection and used it to teach you identity. He took the loneliness and used it to deepen your relationship with Him. He took the waiting and used it to develop patience. He took the heartbreak and used it to teach you discernment. And He took the uncertainty and used it to build faith. That is restoration. God does not always restore the exact thing you lost. Sometimes He restores you so completely that you no longer need what you lost. And then, when something new arrives, you can receive it from a place of wholeness rather than desperation. So tonight, or whenever you are hearing these words, take a deep breath. Release the pressure. Release the timeline. Release the need to know exactly who, when, where, and how. Place it in God's hands. If someone is being prepared to enter your life, God knows how to bring the paths together. If a new relationship is part of your future, God knows how to establish it. If an important encounter is approaching, God knows how to position you for it. And if the answer looks different from what you imagined, Trust Him enough to recognize the gift beyond the packaging, because sometimes the greatest gifts do not arrive wrapped the way we expected. They arrive through ordinary moments carrying extraordinary purpose. And perhaps the person who changes your life will not change it because they rescue you. They will change it because, through God's timing, they become part of a chapter where you finally understand what it means to receive love, friendship, partnership, encouragement, and purpose without abandoning yourself. That is the kind of blessing worth waiting for. And now, let us pray. Father, thank you for the person who is listening right now. You know their journey. You know every hidden struggle. You know every night they wondered whether they had been forgotten. You know the relationships that wounded them, the doors that closed, the prayers that seemed delayed, and the moments when they almost gave up. Lord, remind them that silence does not mean absence. Remind them that delay does not mean denial. Remind them that you have been working even when they could not see your hand. Prepare their heart for everything you have appointed for their future. Give them discernment to recognize what is from you and courage to reject what is not. Protect them from counterfeit relationships. Protect them from manipulation. Protect them from returning to what you have already delivered them from. Heal every wound that still influences the way they receive love. Remove the fear that says everyone will leave. Remove the belief that they must earn love. Teach them that their identity is secure in you. And if you are preparing someone to enter their life, prepare that person as well. Prepare their heart. Prepare their character. Prepare their intentions. Prepare their timing. Let the connection, if it is truly from you, be built upon truth, respect, patience, faith, and genuine care. And if the answer you are preparing looks different from what they expected, give them wisdom to recognize it. Give them patience not to rush. Give them courage not to settle. Give them peace while they wait. And Lord, restore the parts of them that were damaged by seasons they never thought they would survive. Let them understand that their past is not their prison. Their rejection is not their identity. Their loneliness is not their destiny. Their future is still in your hands. Teach them to trust you again. Teach them to walk without fear. Teach them to believe that something beautiful can still emerge from everything they have endured. And when the right person, opportunity, friendship, or divine appointment enters their life, let them recognize it not through desperation, but through wisdom. Let peace be their guide. Let truth be their foundation. Let your presence remain at the center. And above all, remind them that no human being can replace you. You are the source. You are the foundation. You are the one who writes the story. We surrender the timing. We surrender the outcome. We surrender the person. We surrender the future. And we trust you. In Jesus' name, amen. Now breathe. You do not have to figure everything out today. You do not have to know who is coming. You do not have to know exactly when the next chapter begins. Just keep walking with God. Keep your heart open, but keep your wisdom awake. Keep believing. Keep growing. Keep becoming. Because the season that once looked like an ending may have been the preparation for your beginning. And the person you have been praying about may not be the only thing God is sending. He may be sending restoration. He may be sending purpose. He may be sending peace. He may be sending a new chapter. And perhaps when you finally look back, you will understand that the greatest gift was not simply the person who arrived. It was the preparation that made you ready to receive them. Your story is still unfolding, and God is not finished with you yet.